190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Gravitas with me, Raisha Sehgal. On the show tonight, we ask this very pertinent question. Will the Iran-Israel ceasefire hold? After Israel accused Iran of violating the ceasefire and vowing to retaliate, as of now, Trump has bashed Israel and warned not to attack Iran. And the US president has asserted that the ceasefire is in effect. But will the fragile truce hold? Also on the show, it has been 3 days since the United States of America launched Operation Midnight Hammer, but did the US achieve its goals? Because as of now, there is no clarity on Iran's 60% enriched uranium. Finally, on the show, we will tell you about the US B-2 stealth bomber, which is more than just a combat-ready radar-defying marvel. It's also engineered with an unexpected focus on comfort. All that and a lot more lined up for you on Gravitas tonight. Let's get you started.
We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.
Has the Trump-brokered ceasefire between Israel and Iran already fallen apart? Well, that's the big question we are asking tonight on Gravitas. It was a dramatic turn overnight. US President Donald Trump announced a ceasefire between Iran and Israel, and for a moment, it felt like the fighting might stop. Markets rallied, oil prices dropped. The dollar slipped, stocks surged. But just as quickly, the question changed, is the war really over just because Trump says it is? Because within hours, the missiles were allegedly flying again. And then came the outburst. A visibly angry Trump lashed out. He accused both sides of breaking the deal. The ceasefire, it seems, is already in pieces. In Israel, no warning siren sounded after 7:45 GMT, while in Iran, the military reported the last strikes at around 5:30 GMT. Trump, who made the announcement on social media on Tuesday, had earlier in the day even thanked Iran. Yes, He thanked Tehran for giving the US advance notice before it launched the missiles at a US base in Qatar. The base had been evacuated and no one was hurt. That's because the Iranian strike, while it might look aggressive on paper, was a symbolic one. It was a carefully choreographed move by Tehran to de-escalate tensions. That's after the Israeli-American strikes on Iran's nuclear sites. It was a message of restraint from Iran. Iran, which had stopped short of officially accepting the proposal, said that the Islamic Republic's forces had compelled Israel to unilaterally cease fire. Its foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, had earlier said that if Israel stopped its illegal aggression, Tehran would have no intention to continue fighting. Meanwhile, Israel had said that it had agreed to Trump's ceasefire plan, adding that it had achieved all its goals. But then almost 3 hours after the start of the ceasefire brokered by Trump, which he said came into effect in a post on Truth Social at 6:08 GMT, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said he has ordered the country's military to respond forcefully to Iran's violation of the ceasefire. This directive followed an announcement by the military that it had detected missile launches from Iran towards Israel. Israel claimed that both intercepted and vowed a response. Iran, meanwhile, denied the accusation, calling it baseless. Then came a stunning message from Trump. Speaking to reporters before leaving for the NATO summit, the US president lashed out at both the countries, both Iran and Israel, for violating the ceasefire, and he was especially harsh on Israel. Well, he used some choice of words to express his frustration. Take a listen.
You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
On his Truth Social platform, Trump posted in all caps, and I'm quoting here, "Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do, it's a major violation. Bring your pilots home now," unquote. He also urged the ceasefire is now in effect. Please do not violate it. And if you're wondering how this fragile ceasefire even came together, it turns out Qatar may have played a crucial role. According to news agency AFP, Qatari Prime Minister helped broker the truce after Iran's missile strike on the US base near Doha. He reportedly spoke to Tehran following a conversation with US Vice President J.D. Vance and convinced Iran to accept the US proposal for a ceasefire with Israel. Qatar's Prime Minister has urged both Iran and the US to return to the nuclear talks table, and also warned Israel not to use the Iran ceasefire as a cover to intensify bombing in Gaza. I'm quoting again, "We hope Israel does not exploit this truce to unleash everything it wants to unleash on Gaza." But doubts remain. The UN nuclear watchdog says it cannot confirm whether Iran's underground Fordo nuclear facility was destroyed or not, despite the US president claiming it was totally destroyed. Even Trump's own advisors now seem to be shifting the goalpost, suggesting the strike's success is not measured by damage, but by pushing Iran back to the negotiating table. Whether Iran agrees with that framing, that's another matter entirely. And there's one more strategic factor in play. We are talking about the Strait of Hormuz, this important choke point through which over 20% of the world's oil flows. Iran still controls it and still holds that card. According to experts, Iran is unlikely to block the strait, as it would hurt its allies, especially China and Iraq, and risk uncontrollable escalation. But if Iran's economic infrastructure is ever targeted, that could change. So what's the bottom line here? The missiles may have stopped for now, but that does not mean trust has been built. Far from it, actually. This piece feels shaky. Meanwhile, the political messaging is all over the place. The question being, Will this fragile truce between Iran and Israel hold? Days since the US launched airstrikes on Iran's main nuclear facilities, there is, as of now, no clarity on the whereabouts of Iran's enriched uranium. Rather, one question continues to linger. Did the US achieve its goal of a uranium-free Iran? Or did Tehran manage to outsmart both Israel and the United States of America and hide its uranium? Because Iranian officials have made it clear they intended to continue their nuclear activities. Earlier today, the head of Iran's Atomic Energy Organization said Iran had taken what it called necessary measures to ensure the nuclear program continues. The statement also confirmed that contingency plans are already in place to restart facilities targeted by American strikes. And that raises serious questions. Because to restart any nuclear facility, one thing is important, one thing is crucial, and that is enriched uranium. Prior to the American attacks, International Atomic Energy Agency, or the IAEA, had reported that Iran possesses more than 400 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60% purity. Levels close to the 90% enrichment are required to build a nuclear weapon. In the aftermath of American strikes on Iranian nuclear sites, an advisor to Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, made it clear that Iran still had stocks of enriched uranium. The head of the IAEA, Rafael Grossi, said on Monday that Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi had informed the agency in a letter dated June 13th that Iran had implemented special measures to protect nuclear materials and equipment. Now, by special measures, could Iran have meant that it had moved its uranium stockpiles to another location? That's even before the US airstrikes under Operation Midnight Hammer, because satellite images captured just days before the US strikes showed unusual activity near the Fordo nuclear site. Multiple vehicles, including large trucks, were seen near the site. Shortly after the strikes, Iranian state media reported that key nuclear materials, including enriched uranium, had been moved to secure locations. So if enriched uranium was indeed moved, how did Iran manage to do it? According to the World Nuclear Transport Institute, which is a UK-based non-profit organization, enriched uranium can be stored in reinforced steel containers with additional protective casing. And then this can be transported by road, rail or sea, all of which are feasible under the right conditions. Another possibility is that Iran may have transferred the material to a key ally, and there are examples for such a move. In December 2015, a Russian cargo ship transported nearly all of Iran's stockpile of low-enriched uranium out of the country. That operation was publicly acknowledged by then US Secretary of State John Kerry and confirmed by Rosatom, which is Russia's civilian nuclear agency. So far, Iran has not disclosed whether any such arrangement took place again. Still, despite the attack on its nuclear infrastructure, Tehran's latest statement suggests that its nuclear ambitions remain intact. While the US airstrikes appear to have damaged Iran's nuclear sites, the core goal of eliminating enriched uranium from Iranian possession remains uncertain. Even as Iran signals its intent to resume the program, officials in Washington and Vienna continue to assess the long-term repercussions of it. The war is over for now. The missiles and the bombs are not dropping from the skies. Both Iranian and Israelis can breathe easy for now. But In the last 12 days of this intense fighting that we've been seeing, the might of Israeli military, there were some surprises from the Iranians as well. The Iranian forces fired newer missiles with heavy payloads and hypersonic speeds. Our next story takes a look at a multi-warhead missile which Iran unleashed over Israel. Take a look.
Iran has just rewritten the rules of missile warfare. And Israel is reeling from the shock. In the latest and most audacious wave of Operation True Promise 3, the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps unleashed its new multi-warhead Ghadr-H ballistic missiles for the first time, striking deep into Israeli territory. These new missiles are designed to maximize destruction and punch through Israel's multi-layered air defense shield. For Israel, the threat is real. The Ghadr-H's multi-warhead design means a single missile can split in flight, targeting several locations at once and overwhelming even the most advanced interceptors. This is a leap beyond Iran's previous arsenal, solid and liquid-fueled missiles like the Khaybar Shekan, Emad and Fatah 1, all of which were also deployed in this operation. The IRGC's tactics are evolving rapidly, mixing missile salvos with coordinated drone swarms to probe and exploit every weakness in Israeli defenses. For 12 days, Israeli Air Force launched multiple rounds of attacks. After destroying Iranian air defenses, destroyed IDF claimed total air superiority. Israel has claimed to destroyed multiple missile launching sites, along with command and control units. Despite the relentless bombardment, Iranian armed forces have continued to launch multiple rounds of missile attacks every day. The relentless bombardment has severely weakened, but Iran's missile program is a force to be reckoned with, capable of delivering death and destruction on command. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Well, the world must be familiar by now with the B-2 stealth bombers, which America deployed to strike Iran's nuclear sites on June 22nd. According to reports, 7 of these B-2 stealth bombers were used, packed with cutting-edge features and radar evasion, which almost makes them undetectable across seas and continents. The U.S. Air Force's B-2 Spirit stealth bomber is no conventional air warfare weapon. It can reportedly carry up to 40,000 pounds of weaponry, which makes it the perfect weapon of choice for precision strikes. However, what many may not know is what really goes inside such a bomber. How do the pilots cope? How do they prepare for missions that can extend beyond 40 hours? Reports suggest it's a whole new world in itself. Let's get you the details of that. For starters, the B-2 is a $2 billion flying machine built by Northrop Grumman. The two-man crew flying a B-2 bomber must have massive endurance, enough to conduct the mission successfully and fly back home as well. This includes taking utmost care of diet and nutrition intake, which adds to not just physical energy of the pilots in the cockpit, but also impacts their alertness and digestion during intercontinental flights that can span nearly 2 full days. According to B-2 pilots, turkey sandwiches with no cheese and sunflower seeds are their best bet to keep things light yet snacky. Preparations for a B-2 bomber flight are extensive. It requires weeks of planning, from flight plans to sleeping schedules, just to make lives comfortable for the crew. The B-2 also comprises facilities such as microwave, mini fridge, and even areas to rest or take short naps when tired. To put it simply, it has its fair share of strength and limitations, such as just one chemical toilet for use. Moreover, most B-2 missions require multiple intermittent refueling mid-air, an act both exhausting and cumbersome for the pilots, especially on moonless nights when pilots rely on visual cues from tankers' lights and reference points from memory. Let's now tell you what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. From India, we will tell you how after a gap of 5 years, the Manasorvar Yatra is all set to begin later this week. Its revival is a beacon of hope for devotees and a major step in India-China ties. From the United States of America, we will tell you how the U.S. Supreme Court has lifted limits on Trump deporting migrants to so-called third countries. We'll also tell you about the world's largest digital camera, which has taken pictures of its first full-color images. Well, the fighting between Russia and Ukraine rages on. Ukraine says 10 people killed in Kiev, while 3 in Sumy. Russia says that it struck Ukrainian military targets as the fighting rages on. Ukrainian intelligence agency has revealed stunning new details of its Operation Spiderweb, where 5 Russian airfields were struck. Our next report telling you more.
Kyiv endures a night of terror. Russian missiles are raining death from the skies. In the northeast, Sumy is under relentless attack. On the ground, Russian troops are advancing. Ukrainian troops are launching strong counterattacks to push back the Russian troops. As the fighting rages on, the true scale of Ukraine's counter-offensive, long shrouded in secrecy, has now been laid bare. The shadows of Ukraine's intelligence operations run deeper than previously imagined. For 18 months, a clandestine network orchestrated by the SBU chief Vasyl Malyuk launched 117 drones in a chilling campaign to dismantle Russian aerial power on June 1st. These drones weren't crude makeshift devices. Each carried a potent 1.6 kilogram shaped charge high explosive specifically designed to ignite fuel tanks, target missile bays and destroy Russian bombers. Ukraine reveals that the people who built the drones didn't know they were for Spiderweb. The ones who built the cabins didn't know they were for aircraft. Everything was planned and executed in complete secrecy. Kyiv even kept its Western allies in the dark about the audacious plan. Ukraine claimed that up to 40 Russian bombers were destroyed, a military tactic which was publicly hailed by NATO planners.
What the Ukrainians did in Russia is a Trojan horse. The Trojan horse was from several thousand years before our era. So today, we see this kind of tactic coming back ultimately because of technical and industrial creativity.
Moscow has now announced that it would be creating a new unit for unmanned systems based on the experience of the war against Ukraine.
A topical task remains to increase the combat capabilities of all types of armed forces and branches of the armed forces. Thus, in connection with the increased role of unmanned aerial vehicles in modern conflicts, a new branch of the armed forces is being formed, the Troops of Unmanned Systems.
Russian President Vladimir Putin accused NATO of provoking global militarization and the arms race. Putin says he would replenish missile carriers, launch the production of a medium-range missile system, and provide high-precision weaponry to the Navy and submarines. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Well, NATO boss Mark Rutte sent a gushing, caps-heavy pre-summit note to the US President Donald Trump, showing just how far he's willing to go to flatter the US President. Trump is headed to the Netherlands for the NATO summit. Congratulations and thank you for your decisive action in Iran. That was truly extraordinary and something no one else dared to do. It makes us safer. That's what Rutte wrote. Rutte then turned to the real business of the summit, spending pledges, and made sure Trump got the credit for rallying Europe. He wrote, "Europe is going to pay in a big way, as they should, and it would be your win. You are flying into another big success in The Hague this evening. It was not easy, but we've got them all signed on to 5%, he added. Trump, true to form, promptly posted the letter online. Rutte's approach, which experts are calling smart, shows his sophisticated understanding of Trump's psychological triggers. The use of capitalized words and the text laced with praise for the US president and keeping Trump inside the NATO tent, no matter the cost, has become Rutte's top diplomatic priority. With Trump storming back to power and warning allies that he would not protect those who don't pay up, Rutte went all in, clearly. On board Air Force One, Trump did not answer directly when asked whether he would abide by Article 5 of the NATO treaty, which outlines the alliance's mutual defense guarantees. All right, in other news, espionage, intelligence gathering and covert operations, they are all once again taking center stage in global affairs and the front lines of war. And this, as the United States of America redirects its military and strategic focus towards Asia, especially to counter the rise of China. The United Kingdom has been asked to step forward. According to a senior NATO commander, NATO faces a looming gap in intelligence and surveillance capabilities across Europe. NATO's Supreme Allied Commander for Transformation, French Admiral Pierre Vandier, has now publicly urged the UK to lead intelligence operations to fill a vacuum that could emerge. In an interview with the House magazine, Admiral Vandier warned that Washington's surveillance resources, from skill experts to satellite assets, may soon become too strained to support European allies effectively. He cautioned that if the US concentrates its efforts on China, it could leave NATO's European members scrambling without intelligence input. The UK, according to Vandier, is best placed to shoulder this responsibility. Especially its intelligence agencies, including GCHQ and MI6. They both should play a central role in NATO's future surveillance systems. which aim to predict and detect threats across land, sea, air, and even space. But this return to an intelligence-driven world is not confined to the West. Iran has arrested 6 alleged Mossad-linked operatives across the cities of Razan, Nahabad, and Hamdan. Officials claim the suspects used cyberspace to coordinate with foreign agents and provoke domestic unrest. But Iranian intelligence says it intercepted their plans before they could materialize. Iran's judiciary also executed a man convicted of spying for Israel. Officials allege he was in contact with Mossad, which is Israel's foreign intelligence agency. Just a few hours ago, Iranian media reported the arrest of a European citizen who allegedly entered Iran as a tourist and reportedly went to southern Iran to gather intelligence at military sites. While in Israel, officials have detained 3 of their own citizens for allegedly acting on behalf of Iran. Well, as tensions between the two countries remain high, from Europe to West Asia, the age of espionage isn't history. Intelligence agencies are back in focus and spies have returned to the front lines of war. Well, in a major step towards spiritual tourism in India, the revered Kailash Manasorvar Yatra is all set to kick off later this week. And that's after a gap of almost 5 long years. The pilgrimage was last conducted in 2019 and was halted due to the COVID-19 pandemic and then due to the strained India-China ties. However, its revival now marks a new chapter in the spiritual and diplomatic journey to the revered Himalayan holy site. Our next report telling you more.
A landmark meeting between India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi as the two countries look to rebuild ties strained by the Ladakh border standoff 5 years back. NSA Doval is in China to attend a conclave of top national security officials, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, starting on the 25th of June. Indian Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will be there too. Perhaps the most tangible outcome of the ongoing New Delhi-Beijing diplomatic efforts to normalize relations is the restarting of the Kailash Manasorvar Yatra.
Coming to the Kailash Manasorvar Yatra, it's after a gap of 5 years that the Yatra has started, and we know that the focus is the normalization of India-China relationship. In fact, the process started last year when the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Chinese President Xi Jinping met, and thereafter several officials have been meeting, holding talks, including ministers, and this resumption of Kailash Manasorvar Yatra is essentially a key moment in India-China relationship as they focus on normalization and improving the relationship.
The Yatra gets underway on the 30th of this month and pilgrims are gathering at the starting point already. For the selected 750 pilgrims this year, this is a huge moment. They embark not just on a challenging physical journey, but also a deeply spiritual one, and also one with massive strategic significance.
I did walking, jogging and trekking to prepare for this. I do jogging daily in the morning and go out for a walk in the evening.
We are excited that we are going to the city of Lord Shiva. Can't express the excitement in words. We were so happy when me and my wife were selected, and we are ready to go there.
There are broadly 2 routes that these pilgrims will take. The first route, that is generally considered easier, is the Nathula Pass route from Sikkim. The pilgrims will proceed via the Nathula Pass and Tibet's Shigatse city before reaching Mount Kailash and Lake Manasorvar. 500 pilgrims will take this route. The second route, involving 20 to 24 days of tough trekking through rugged terrain, starts from New Delhi, then heads through Almora and Lipulekh Pass in Uttarakhand into Tibet to the Manasorvar Lake. 250 pilgrims will be taking this route. The heart of the Yatra over high altitudes and tough terrain remains the challenging Kora or Parikrama, a 52-kilometer trek around Mount Kailash as a symbol of faith and endurance. It holds huge spiritual significance for multiple religions. For Hindus, this is the abode of Lord Shiva and goddess Parvati. It is also revered by Buddhists as Mount Meru, as well as by Jains and the Bon community. Lake Manasorvar, nestled at the foot of Mount Kailash, is equally sacred. A dip in its waters is believed to cleanse sins and lead to salvation.
Now, essentially, we know that when it comes to going to the Yatra, it is not an easy task. In fact, WION team is here in Lhasa to acclimatize, given the oxygen level in the atmosphere is quite less, and we need to acclimatize before going to Kailash Manasorvar Yatra.
Resumption of this yatra carries significant diplomatic weight. The event is a key people-to-people bridge between India and China. Restarting it signals a willingness at a political level to engage on issues of mutual interest, even amidst broader strategic complexities. The pilgrimage has been suspended since 2020, initially due to the COVID-19 pandemic and later due to the protracted military standoff along the line of actual control. Efforts have called the movement a confidence-building measure that should not and cannot be underestimated. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Well, China has recently ramped up its restrictions on rare earth exports, causing global supply shortages. The move has highlighted global dependency on Beijing's rare earth supply chains, especially that of the US. But there's another side to it. China reportedly depends heavily on rare earth imports from war-torn Myanmar. Despite its dominance in rare earth minerals globally, China reportedly sources large volumes of raw materials from abroad, especially Myanmar, to meet its demand. According to various reports, Myanmar supplied nearly 57% of China's rare earth imports last year. Shipments from Myanmar also surged in 2019 and peaked at nearly 44,000 metric tons last year. What makes these imports even more crucial is their composition. Myanmar's rare earths are particularly rich in heavy elements like dysprosium and terbium, which are more valuable due to their scarcity in the Earth's crust. These metals are indispensable for advanced technology, especially in defense and military, aerospace and other sectors as well. Much of Myanmar's rare earths originate in Kachin state bordering China. Now, this region has turned into a strategic hotspot for Beijing, giving China even a bigger monopoly over rare earths and increasing its grip on the global stage as well. And this was clearly shown, and it came into focus rather, during China's recent tariff negotiations in London with the United States of America. China reportedly controls about 60% of global rare earth mining and nearly 90% of its refining capacity. In April, China further tightened controls, imposing restrictions on 7 rare earth elements. Those measures were seen as retaliation for steep tariffs imposed by US President Donald Trump. While the details of the London talks remain confidential, one thing is clear: China is extending its control over rare earths, both domestically and globally. All right, shifting focus to India now. Heavy rains have already flooded several parts of Surat in Gujarat, with over 100 millimeters of rainfall recorded, leading to waterlogging in low-lying areas and blocking 2 state roads. Fortunately, no casualties have been reported so far. Officials say the rain is expected to continue and rescue efforts are underway as well. Residents are being urged to cooperate. As far as Delhi NCR is now concerned, there's some relief on the weather front. After days of scorching heat, the southwest monsoon is pushing north, and the Indian Weather Department has forecast light to moderate rainfall along with thunderstorms and lightning over the next few days. The IMD has issued a yellow alert for the capital, warning of gusty winds and cooler temperatures. Delhiites can expect maximum temperatures between 34 and 36 degrees Celsius, with lows around 25 to 27 degrees Celsius. It's rather a welcome change after weeks of 40-degree highs. Rain has already reached parts of Delhi and NCR regions like Gurugram and Bahadurgarh. The Regional Weather Centre issued a nowcast warning, predicting showers across north and northwest Delhi. Neighbouring cities in Haryana as well as Uttar Pradesh are also on alert. Air quality too has improved. The AQI has now slipped into the satisfactory range. It's a big shift from the poor levels earlier this month. And there's more rain on the way. The monsoon's arrival in Delhi this year is expected ahead of schedule. While the usual onset is around June 27th, both the IMD and private forecasters now predict it could hit as early as June 24th. That is today, making it the earliest monsoon for the city since 2013. SkyMet says humidity and easterly winds will rise, and light showers today may be followed by heavier, more widespread rain throughout the week. Elsewhere across the country, the monsoon is coming in strong. A red alert has been issued in parts of Madhya Pradesh with forecast of over 20 centimeters of rainfall in just 24 hours. Orange alerts are also in effect for Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Bihar, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Arunachal Pradesh. In Himachal Pradesh, the IMD says plains like Hamirpur and Solan can expect steady rain, while districts like Chamba, Kangra and Mandi are bracing for heavy showers on June 24th. Meanwhile, a yellow alert has been issued in several areas. The IMD is warning of possible localized flooding, waterlogging and traffic disruptions. People are advised to stay alert as of now, especially in low-lying zones, and follow safety advisories as the monsoon moves deeper into northwest and central India. And while India is in the midst of its monsoon season, large parts of the United States of America are witnessing a searing heat wave. Tens of millions of people are baking under a dangerous heat dome that's gripping the U.S. Northeast and Midwest. Record-breaking temperatures are sweeping across major cities in the U.S., disrupting electricity supplies and even halting train travel. Heat warnings are now in effect across much of the United States and are expected to continue through the week. Officials say that the feels-like temperatures could reach a staggering 110 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 43 degrees Celsius, especially when combined with East Coast humidity. And it's not just the daytime heat. The National Weather Service is warning that nighttime temperatures in the 70s and 80s will offer little relief, keeping the heat persistent.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is a crazy heat wave we got going on, especially tomorrow is going to be up to 100.
Yeah.
I know we've had a couple last year, but I think this is going to be a lot more extreme than the ones we've had in previous years.
I put an AC in my room. I went swimming the other day.
Awesome.
Well, it's so hot that even trains are slowing down. On Monday, Amtrak was forced to halt some more East Coast trains mid-route for safety reasons. The company says it also reduces speed when air temperatures rise above 95 degrees Fahrenheit or when tracks reach 128 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, health experts are urging employers to protect outdoor workers by adjusting their schedules, ensuring hydration breaks, and watching for signs of heat exhaustion or even heat stroke. This heat wave is not just uncomfortable at this point of time, it's dangerous. Officials are reminding everyone to stay hydrated, stay indoors if possible, and check in on your neighbors, especially the elderly. The extreme heat is expected to last through the week, and it's not just weather, this is global warming in real time. Scientists say record high nighttime temperatures like the one gripping the US East Coast are a major red flag. Why, if you may ask? Because nights are supposed to cool you down. But with urban heat islands and a warming planet, relief is getting harder to find. Heat waves like this are now longer, hotter, and more frequent. And they are hitting earlier in the year. In fact, according to climate experts, every heat wave today is hotter than it would have been without human-caused climate change. And this isn't just about America, or this isn't just an American problem. Europe is also getting hot. Recent analysis says that the heat wave in England this month was 100 times more likely because of climate change. Just days ago, British authorities had issued health warnings as Northern Europe bakes under an early summer heat wave. Researchers warn that climate models may actually be underestimating the heat extremes that we are now living through. And while shifting our focus now, the universe just got its close-up from a mountaintop in Chile. The world's largest digital camera, it has now taken pictures of its first full-color images. Well, I'm talking about the Vera Rubin Observatory in Chile. It has released its first images of deep space, offering an astonishing new glimpse of the cosmos. It may look like a dazzling digital artwork, but these are real-life pictures of space taken by the largest digital camera ever built. The massive new telescope is perched high in the Chilean Andes. The Rubin Observatory is designed to scan the southern sky for the next decade, capturing a celestial time-lapse in ultra-high resolution. Its camera, a 3,200 megapixel monster that's the size of a small car. And the camera can capture images so detailed that you will need 400 Ultra HD TVs to view just one in full.
Okay, well, Rubin's a survey, so we're changing fundamentally how we attack problems. We're providing a lot of statistical information. So rather than the usual, I'll take a couple of observations and I'll write a paper, no, I'll give you 1 million galaxies. I'll give you 1 million stars, or 1 billion even, because we have them, 20 billion galaxy measurements. So it's going to really change and challenge the way people work with their data.
One remarkable picture shows the Virgo galaxy cluster in an array of celestial objects. From brilliant blue and red stars to spiral galaxies and distant red galaxy clusters. Another picture captures the Trifid and Lagoon Nebulae glowing in vivid pink against a red-orange backdrop. Well, just to give you an idea, these star-forming regions are several thousands light years away from Earth. In merely 10 hours of observation, the Rubin also identified 2,104 previously unknown asteroids within the solar system, including 7 near-Earth objects, all harmless to the planet.
But I think for me the most exciting thing is the dynamic sky, because there will be things that we just didn't expect, and they'll be there. And there are things that we do expect that are going to be tremendous in terms of advancing our understanding of dark matter and dark energy especially.
Well, moving the 3-ton camera up a mountain was an engineering feat in itself. The observatory, funded by the U.S. National Science Foundation and Department of Energy, rather gives out 20 terabytes of data every night. That's more than 3 years of streaming video. And that's every 24 hours. UK scientists are playing a big part in making tools for Rubin's vast data troves and search for cosmic mysteries like black holes, dark energy and dark matter, a concept championed by the observatory's namesake, Vera Rubin, in the 1970s. Her work provided some of the first convincing evidence for dark matter, which has been described as an invincible force. Thought to make up most of the universe, with every few image and new image, the Rubin Observatory isn't just revealing the beauty of deep space, it's perhaps rewriting our understanding of the cosmos. And this is just the beginning. Well, London, a city steeped in history and wartime anecdotes, has something unique to offer to history buffs around the world that chronicles its very past. And no, it's not a restaurant, a shopping mall, or an amusement park, but a bunch of abandoned tunnels from the World War II era, which will open soon for public viewing. So what's so special about them? Well, it's a network of tunnels buried 30 meters below the streets, which makes for one of the city's best kept secrets. Dug up secretly in 1940 when Britain feared invasion by Nazi Germany, these tunnels were designed to shelter up to 8,000 people at a time. Rumor has it that classified Cold War messages passed between Washington and Moscow through these tunnels that lie deep below London Underground Central Line in the city's Holborn area. Many also trace them back to the London Blitz of 1940, marking the sustained bombing campaign by the German Air Force against London during World War II. Post-war, the tunnels also became a terminus of the first transatlantic undersea telephone cable in the mid-1950s. And to make the site further attractive for tourists, the local authorities have also reportedly approved plans for an intelligence museum, an interactive World War II memorial, and one of the world's deepest underground bars to be a part of this historic site in London.
As far as we can tell, this would be the deepest licensed bar in a metropolitan city in the world. In other words, one that you and I can safely access and is pretty cool in a city as big as London.
Many seem to be also saying that this is where James Bond's creator fetched inspiration from, which went on to become a cult classic of its kind. And with its current capacity, the tunnel might have the potential to host up to 4 million visitors a year.
So if we were to look at the size and scale of what we have, so I'm standing in a street that is 400 metres long with a diameter of 16 feet 6 inches. We have then 5 avenues which have a diameter of 25 feet, so as big as the Eurostar tunnel. So if you were to rebuild this or build this today and we use the economic cost of Crossrail, this would cost just in excess of £1 billion to rebuild today.
Thus offering a rare opportunity to soak in all that history while strolling around the War Museum or enjoying a drink at the underground bar. No one makes Test cricket look this exciting or this unpredictable. Rishabh Pant is a risk-taker who defies expectations. With every ball, he'll defend with a dead bat. Then launch the next delivery into the stands, unorthodox, fearless and unmissable. Pant turns chaos into art. From ICU beds to Headingley hundreds, Pant's return is nothing short of a miracle. Once sidelined by terrifying accident, he fought through pain and uncertainty. Pant said he was lucky to be alive, and now he's alive and how? From barely being able to walk to hitting audacious paddle sweeps while falling to the ground. His journey of physical recovery has rarely been seen before. His rehab was a 14-month process, which included physiotherapy, customized aquatherapy and strength building. And it has clearly worked. He's now lighting it up in whites, thrilling fans with every innings, keeping millions on the edge of their seats. One moment, stupid, stupid, stupid. The next, absolute genius. That's Pant. Who could forget legendary Sunil Gavaskar uttering those three words after one of Pant's early dismissals? But at Headingley, the same Gavaskar was on his feet gesturing to Pant for a somersault celebration, just like the one he pulled off after his first innings. And that moment said it all. Pant hasn't just won matches, he has won over his critics, one mad inning at a time. He always puts on a show, or at least tries to, falling over, yet still hitting sixes with one hand off the bat. Reverse sweeping spinners from outside of stump, ramping the quickest of deliveries over the keeper's head, and sometimes just stepping out to smack pacers straight back down the ground. Want to get a measure of what goes on inside Pant's mind? Just listen in to the stump mic. Like the time he scolded himself for playing a rash shot, only to try something even more audacious moments later. At Headingley, Pant wrote history with twin centuries. The 27-year-old became the first Indian to score a century in both innings against England. He now has 8 Test hundreds and 7 scores in the 90s. It's a number, a stat that screams both genius and near misses. If he'd converted even 5 of those 90s, he'd be second only to Adam Gilchrist, arguably regarded as the greatest wicket-keeper batter of all time. And now, Vice-Captain Pant is no longer just instinct and impulse. There's madness, yes, but there's also maturity and method. And that balance is what makes him truly special. Well, with that, we're slipping into a very short break. Thanks very much for staying with us. You are watching WION World is One. Stay tuned.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the US.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Beyond World is One. My name is Mohammed Saleh, and let's start this broadcast by taking a quick look as to what is making headlines at this hour. The Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian says that the state of Israel and the United States cannot impose unjust aspirations by force. This is a fragile ceasefire between Iran and Israel has taken hold after 12 days of fighting.
We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. You understand that?
The American President Donald Trump expresses his frustration at Iran-Israel ceasefire violations when he was questioned by the media on the lawns of the White House. Gaza's Civil Defense Agency says that Israeli forces have killed about 46 people who are waiting for aid in the Palestinian territory, as human rights groups and the United Nations agencies have slammed the American-backed food distribution system that is currently being operated by the Israelis. And India welcomes the role played by the United States and Qatar in bringing about the ceasefire between Iran and Israel. The Wall Street stocks rise, extending a rally as markets cheer an apparent ceasefire in the Iran-Israel war. And Donald Trump casts doubt on his commitment to protect Europe as he heads to a NATO summit to get allies to pledge more defense spending. Zelensky says the most important thing for Ukraine is the unity of the NATO nations. And there is a flood-like situation in several parts of Gujarat after heavy rains. The city of Surat has been the worst affected. Waterlogging leads to some traffic disruptions. A state of emergency has been declared on the Greek island of Chios as hundreds of firefighters battle the wildfires. So after 12 days of relentless war, the planes and the missiles have fallen silent. But the battle for the narrative is just